opportunity to be talking and saying my name, Dr. Enki. That's what I think. This was a bad way to go about it.
When our priorities got misaligned that way, when people begin to think that Hassan Campbell was the OG of all of the platforms on YouTube, instead of House of Consciousness, instead of that root from the Black Panthers and Khalid Muhammad, those are the things that contributed to New York losing. That's the reason why New York.
So, you heard what he just said, right? Matter of fact, I'm gonna let y'all. Hold on.
Taking the L right. Instead of that root from the Black Panthers, G of all of the platforms on YouTube, that way. When people begin to think that Hassan Campbell was the OG of all of the platforms on YouTube, instead of House of Consciousness, instead of that root from the Black Panthers and Khalid Muhammad, those are the things that contributed to New York losing. That's the reason why New York is taking.
So why the fuck you say my name for in that in your opening argument? So why would you mention my name in your opening argument if that's the case? If that's what you surmise, that since niggas, the paperwork parties and all of that took a front seat to the mind of the conscious or whatever the fuck you just, whatever channel you just mentioned, I don't know. Right. If that's what you surmise, sir, why would you mention my name? For when I was released from the New York State Department of Corrections, this shit was already going on the internet. I came home, niggas was already having paperwork parties. Oh yeah. 1090 in the sentence, 1090 Jake and all of that been popping. 050 and them niggas was on the internet before me, Jim Jones paperwork and all of that. It was all type of niggas on the internet, paperwork parties and all of that before I got it. I didn't invent that term. Let me get a 1 if you think Dr. Sebi knew what he was curing people. Give me a 1 if you think he was curing people. And give me a 2 if you think Dr. Sebi was cat. He beat the U.S. in court. Cat. I get 63,000 views right here. You know what I'm saying? I just want to say, you are what you eat, right? If you only eat plates. So, instead of that, I said I had to come right back. I said what I said about the plant-based diet people. People get in the comments. They upset, maybe they got plant-based diets, I don't know. Then they start asking me about Dr. Sebi. Oh, so you think Dr. Sebi was capping, blah, 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 blah. Bitch, who you know that had that hurt, that don't got it no more listening to Dr. Sebi? Because that's what they get, oh, he had the cure for this, he had the cure. What the fuck did that nigga kill? Who he killed? We want to know. Who had that hurt that don't got it no more? Fuck out of here, Dr. Sebi. That nigga ain't no different than Miss Cleo to me. You are what you eat. If you only eating plants, you a bitch ass nigga. Because plants is pussy. I ain't never seen a plant do nothing to nobody, you heard? Let's get that out the way. But I'm saying, if people been eating meat, pause, for at least 2 million years, why then would you exclude that from your diet? The phenotype affects the genotype. That's something I learned in genetics. The phenotype affects the genotype. The environment, that's the phenotype. It affects the genotype. You see how black people got them broad noses? That's because of the climate. The chinky-eyed Asians like this, that's because of the climate. Very windy, you know what I'm saying? And years of evolution, that's why that shit happened like that. You see the Caucasians is very hairy in the mountains. Cold. Yeah, it was cold. They needed more insulation. Been putting red meat into the system for 2 million years. That shit is part of your genetic makeup now. You need that shit to survive, bro. I don't give a fuck what them people. You see all of these soft ass niggas out here nowadays? It's a correlation, trust me. That soybean is rich in estrogen, you heard? Yeah, that's some shit that you don't need as a man. Estrogen, you don't need that shit. Especially no extra doses. You got some of it because you got it from your moms. But you don't need no extra doses of estrogen, you heard? Soybean. Eat a salad. Nah, fuck that. Give me a steak and some tap water. Let's get to that. See me. All right, so I'll post that. Hold on. Speaking of tap water. So I'll post that, right? And I really feel like that. Like, you know, all these niggas running around vegan and veggie, all of that shit. I think that's why so many bitch ass niggas running around. It's part of the reason. Ain't no one thing.
Now listen, before y'all say anything, I have reached out to Zip on multiple occasions to offer him some of that blue magic for that cough. I reached out to him on multiple occasions to get him some blue magic for that cough. So we're gonna.
The direct cause of anything, you heard? It's a bunch of shit. But excluding meat out the diet, I think that makes for a society full of timid niggas. Yeah. Plants is pussy. I got a plant right now. I can go in there and do whatever I want to do to the plant. Shit ain't gonna do nothing. Shit ain't gonna defend itself at all. The cat. Yeah, you can't even pet the cat when it don't want to get pet. That shit'll scratch you. Back up off of me, nigga. So ain't no you just do anything you want to do to the cat. You understand what I'm saying? Plants is pussy. So if all you consuming is plants, then if you are what you eat, you're a plant. You're a pussy ass plant. So I say this on Instagram, right? I'm lit on Instagram. I ain't gonna lie. So it gets about 65,000 views on Instagram. Nigga rapping, talking about comments. Eat a salad, bitch, nigga.
Right, now here's my Instagram page, right? If you're not subscribed to my Instagram page, go subscribe to my IG page, right? Here's what is on my page. Whoop! You see that? So I make this post with Zip on it, and then a couple days later, 2 days later, I make the post with Sebi on it. And then after that, you see what I'm saying? I put the post with Zip on it, then I put the post with Sebi on it, and then after that, things went, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I feel partially responsible for how this turned out.
Niggas start talking about Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi. They say, oh, so what you think, Dr. Sebi was capping? You don't think he was capping? I know it's impolite to ask a question, to answer a question with a question, but it's 211 people in the chat, in the building right now. I don't know how many of y'all is participating in the chat. Let me get a 1 if you think Dr. Sebi knew what he was curing people. Give me a 1 if you think he was curing people. And give me a 2 if you think Dr. Sebi was capping.
Now listen, at this moment, I had to go take the dog out, but a lot of number ones went up in the chat. A lot of number ones went up in the chat right at that moment. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of number ones went up in that chat. But you see what I'm saying? This is because with Zip content, right? with Zip content, this doesn't make no sense. What are you doing, Zip? Coming way over here, attacking the vegans and Dr. Sebi. What are you doing? You totally out of pocket for this right now.
The world knew New York as Muslims, as gods. When I was growing up, we had knowledge of self. I was a god body. I'm still acknowledging myself as that. I had knowledge of self. New York, we need to get back to being civilized. Off this gang shit, off the blood, off the crib. Let's go back to something, nigga. Back to the Let's go back to being civilized.
That's all I'm saying, man. We got to get focused now. Zip, you supposed to be way over there with your content. You ain't got no business coming all the way over here talking about phenotypes and genotypes and was Dr. Sebi capping or not. Respectfully, you are not qualified to Zip, you gotta relax.
So I think that this is your time now, Inky Real. I think it's time for you to man up and step up and you be the voice and go to them and say, you know what? I just had a debate with 10 toes down. Me and you need to talk, Zip. Me and you need to talk, China, Harlem. Get all of them and say you need to talk to them because you're the elder. You from the conscious community. Let's start bringing some consciousness to the goddamn dirty section.
So what you think, Dr. Sebi was capping? You don't think he was capping? I know it's impolite to ask a question, to answer a question with a question, but it's 211 people in the chat, in the building right now. I don't know how many of y'all is participating in the chat. Let me get a 1 if you think Dr. Sebi knew what he was curing people. Give me a 1 if you think he was curing people. And give me a 2 if you think Dr. Sebi was cat. I'm going to light this little clip up. Let me know. Misplaced loyalty. That's just a lot of 1s. 1, 2, come Monte Ellis said cat. More 1s than 2s. I see the 1 and a 2. I'm gonna share this live, y'all, because I want y'all to really hear this shit that I gotta say in regard to this. Share it live. Share it live. Keep this clip. He beat the U.S. in court. Cat. I didn't say his cat, Dr. Sebi, killed anybody. I'm not saying that's cat, but him beating the U.S. in court, cat. I'm calling cap on that. Public record, do your research. He won a case in the Supreme Court, proving it. Cat! Yeah. Hold up. So now, check it. So one of the comments was about Dr. Sebi. This is my reply. Look, same day. I get 63,000 views right here. Boom, saying, you are what you eat, right? If you only eat plants. So, this shit is that, I said I had to come right back. I said what I said about the plant-based diet people. People get in the comments, they upset, maybe they got plant-based diets, I don't know. Then they start asking me about Dr. Sebi. Oh, so you think Dr. Sebi was capping? Blah, 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 blah. Bitch, who you know that had that hurt, that don't got it no more listening to Dr. Sebi? That doesn't think they go, oh, he had to kill for this, he had to kill. What the fuck did that nigga kill? Who he killed? We want to know. Who had that hurt that don't got it no more? Fuck out of here, Dr. Sebi. That nigga ain't no different than Miss Cleo to me. Let's get to that. Hey, yo,
Now,
I said what
all of you motherfuckers that put one in the chat, tell me who you know that had that hurt or that house in Virginia. Yeah. Who the fuck you know had that hurt or that house in Virginia that don't got it no more because of Dr. Sebi?
The world knew New York as Muslims, as gods. When I was growing up, we had knowledge of self. I was a god body. I'm still acknowledging myself as that. I had knowledge of self. New York, we need to get back to being civilized. Off this gang shit, off the blood, off the crib. Let's go back to stupid, nigga.
Back to the
Let's go back to being civilized.
All right. So we done a few videos. We kind of elaborated on the initial, the initial situation, so to speak, right? The initial situation. That's how we, the initial situation. Now, because of the back and forth, and I have to say, thank you. I have to thank Zip, and I'm not being facetious in any way, but I have to thank Zip because of the back and forth, there's gonna be people, like there's already is now. There's people that are becoming curious about the subject matter. They're looking for answers, right? They're looking for answers. In one of the latest responses, hold on one second. My name is Minister Inky. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin vs. Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own. All right. So, like I was saying, I have to thank Zip because people are becoming curious, and people are jumping the gun, right? Because he asked, oh, well, Zip said, do you know who got the house in Virginia that blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now, for the people that know me, they know I've answered that question 1,000 times, right? Even when Vlad did one of the videos that got taken down on my last channel was a semi-viral video, right? I had over 100,000 views because Vlad did an interview and he was talking reckless. What I think it might have been Lord Jamal in there with his uninformed self. And I had to jump out there and respond to Vlad. I had to dig up the, Vlad was asking, is there any negative and positive test results that we could show? So I had to, so anyway, I had to dress up Vlad, right? This is the thing, and this is where, I talk about the culture, because whenever anybody attacks the culture, I'm always there, and that's the job of the young elder, right? The young elder. The elders have transitioned and left me in charge of the, the hen house, make sure no wolves get in. And so whether it's Western academia or John Q. Public or Vlad or Zip or whoever it is, I'm there, right? And so anyway, thanks to Zip, some folks getting curious, and before you can, because I could just, it would be like a 30-second video. I can go, I could just pull up the scientific journals and show bop, 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 bop. Right? But that would oversimplify a lifetime and a legacy. Right? So what I said to myself is, we just gonna go, right? We're gonna start with a couple of things. We're gonna talk about a couple of things, but we're gonna go through a couple of books, right? So the first book, right? I just want to point out one or two key lines from How to Eat to Live, right? And then we're going to spend some time in this book, right? Dr. Sebi versus Dr. Inky. And then we're going to spend some time in this book, right? This is Melanin versus Diabetes, book 4, the carbon edition, right? So this is the carbon edition, right? These two books specifically deal with a lot of the pros and the cons of what Dr. Sebi was teaching from the scientific perspective, right? But the reason why we got to start here is because Dr. Sebi started, right, his healing journey in the lessons. So this is another reason why when I say we got to return back to the lessons, it's more than just what people think of on the surface, right? So now Zip turned my words around and try to make it seem like I'm saying we need to return back to the days of selling crack. Like, yo, Zip is funny, man. Zip is a movie star. He said Dr. Inky, or the doctor nigga. I love his nickname for me. The doctor nigga. The doctor nigga. You know what I'm saying? That's a term of endearment. That's a term of somebody with motion, somebody that got something going on. Like I would refer to, like, if I was from the neighborhood that LeBron is from in Akron, you know what I'm saying? LeBron would be like the basketball nigga, like, because he's the guy when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm the doctor nigga, Okay. Right? It's like a backward, we're gonna receive it that way anyway, right? So anyway, Sebi started his journey, right? Sebi started his journey with the nation, with those lessons, right? And in today's world, where everybody is off their square, because now Nation of Islam is Scientology and all kinds of other things, the original lessons, right? The original lessons. Now, the story that came down to me was that the reason why Sebi needed to branch off and do his own thing, or felt that he needed to branch off and do his own thing, health-wise, is because Elijah was pussyfooting it around. Elijah was, he was softening because Elijah was speaking to the masses. And Sebi's like, okay, this is cool, but this ain't going to heal him. This is cool. This will get him healthier, but this is not going to take a sick person and heal a sick person. A sick person that needs healing is going to need more than just, stop eating pork. especially when you're doing better, you're eating better. You need to just go right with the. So Elijah's perspective was you can't get the people to go from 0 to 100. You know, you got to get them to make gradual changes. So even now, like I don't know, maybe 6 months, 9 months. I don't know. It was a long exchange with Wesley Muhammad and I. But Wesley Muhammad was scared. Wesley is not like Zip. Zip is uninformed, but Zip's a warrior. He coming. He coming. He coming. You know what I'm saying? Pause. That might have been crazy for some of y'all. But Zip is moving forward. We'll say that. Zip's advancing, right? Wesley Muhammad tucked his tail. Wesley Muhammad was scared, right? Wesley Muhammad was scared. So he picked on my young boy, Sebi's son, Victor, at the time. Well, not his son at the time, but my boy at the time. Now Victor and I, Victor's gotten too big for his britches, so it's okay. But yeah, I had to be, I had to deal with Wesley about, his crazy comments on Dr. Sebi. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is a consistent thing. You know what I'm saying? Zip might not have knew he walked into the bear trap when he started talking crazy about Dr. Sebi. He might not have understood what he was doing. And that's why I keep saying Zip could just go on his next live stream and gracefully bow out, but he doesn't. He doubles down and triples down and quadruples down, right? So, but anyway, Dr. Sebi, started off with the Nation of Islam, and even amongst the Nation of Islam, there's a debate of whether Elijah Muhammad, if he was still alive, obviously he'd be 1,000 years old right now, but if he was still alive, or if he lived past the time, where he transitioned, if he got another decade or a couple decades, would he have people transitioning to vegan or plant-based diets, right? So the best thing to do is obviously to go to the word, right? And if we open up the book, and it's just 2 quick passages, and we're gonna get up out of here and get right to Sebi, right? But on page 27, paragraph before last, it says, milk and bread alone will keep us alive indefinitely. And it is the best and the most easily digested food. We have plenty of supplements for milk and bread, so eat them. But eat them only once a day. This will reduce your doctor bill almost 90%. And if you eat once every 2 days, you will not have any doctor bill. So do not tell the doctor that I told you this. Let me rewind. We have plenty of supplements for milk and bread, so eat them. What was Elijah talking about? Getting supplements for dairy. Supplements for dairy, right? Nut milk, right? Not necessarily soy, hemp milk and all those things, right? There's a lot of different versions, right? So that's one. And then on page 50, second paragraph, last sentence. But if you can do without any kind of flesh, that is fine, right? If you can do without eating any kind of flesh. So we got to understand this is 100 years ago, right? This is the perspective of a science that began 100 years ago, right? The book wasn't written 100 years ago, but Nation of Islam, Farad and Elijah start doing their thing on the heels of Noble Drew Ali, right? So this is 1920s we talking about. This is 2024. We can't put the consciousness of ourselves and of the masses into the consciousness of Elijah and Farad and the masses that they were faced with. People are ignorant today. You can't imagine how ignorant people were 100 years ago. Right? People 100 years ago, they thought cigarettes, like there was health post for cigarettes. Like cigarettes was advertised as a healthy item. All doctors smoke cigarettes. They smoke cigarettes in hospitals while doing surgery. Like the cigarette, like it was a different world. It was a different world. So, later on, it was obviously that approach to begin to clean up the diet, right? To clean up the diet. You also have the invention of what later on is known as intermittent fasting, right? Began right there in that book, How to Eat to Live, with suggesting you eat once a day, right? That's the beginning of intermittent fasting, right? So we got to put respect on Elijah's name, Farad's name, and then obviously what comes from Elijah and Farad is fatherallah, right? Fatherallah, 5% nation, zip attack, right? And then obviously Dr. Sebi with zip attack. So Zip seems to really have a problem with Elijah and, the nation, like subtly. I don't even know if he's conscious of it. He might be poisoned mentally by those Muslims that he's following, right? He might be poisoned by those Muslims that he's following. There's a very big possibility that Zip can be brainwashed. Zip's talking about the crack epidemic and that the 5%ers were the reasons for the cause, the progenitors of the crack epidemic. He's forgetting that all the paraphernalia that those quote unquote 5%ers use to mix drugs, package drugs, weigh drugs, the guns and bullets they needed to protect their operations and all that came through the Muslims. So so anyway, we've addressed that in the video yesterday. So I don't have to go back into the, go back repetitive. But so there's that, right? So Elijah and Farad, right? Like fatherallah and Dr. Sebi are fruits from that tree of Elijah and Farad, right? So now we need to get into some Dr. Sebi 101. Right? Dr. Sebi 101, because trying to explain that house in Virginia or the herp, right, to somebody who doesn't have any even like a ink, like it that wouldn't even make any sense. That wouldn't even make any sense. So we're gonna do like a master class, but like a 101 master class. It's like a basic Dr. Sebi 101 for John Q. public that doesn't know, but they want to act like they know, because reading about a court case, right? So what Zip also doesn't know is that I was going to be in that Nick Cannon documentary, right? But, later on I fell out and anyway, but I was a part of putting together the majority of the research for that documentary, right? So why that's important is because you need to understand the premise of the case, right? You can't use the case. You can't use the cases. Let me say that. The cases as a premise to judge the scientific legacy, or what should be the scientific legacy of Dr. Sebi, right? At least not until you learn a little bit more, right? So what you have to learn is the question that was mainly answered in the case was herbs. Were herbs on the medicine side of things or on the food side of things? That was one of the biggest questions to understand. And for that, you really need to dig into some of the biochemistry and understand. First of all, you need to understand that most medicines are synthesized and extracted from plants. Once you get that, and it's hard to get that, like people that can hear, they're cognizant, they're conscious, like they're alive. If you say that to them, they can hear it, but that doesn't mean they internalize it or fully understand the impact of that statement, right? When you say that most medicines come from plants, plants are food. There becomes a disconnect because then people will say you're capping or you're frauding or you're scamming if you say that you can heal people with food. So I'm gonna repeat that. The medicines that we all credit healing, oh yeah, doctors, yeah, medicine, yeah. Well, that stuff comes from food. So that means the proper application of food could be just as powerful or more powerful if we understand how to use it the right way. And in order to understand how to properly use food to do more than satisfy our addictions, because largely now we just eat out of addiction. Like it's stimulating dopamine the same way weed, coke, porn, sports, like we're just living based on our addiction to dopamine. Anything that, that makes us feel good, that's what we on, right? And that has a place in life, enjoyment, entertainment, but that's not the totality. And that definitely shouldn't be the major focus when we're putting together our food, right? But that's what John Q. Public, that's how we've been acclimated, right? Eat what tastes good. What tastes good? Sweet. Sweet. Or complex tastes where there's a lot of sugar, but the sugar is buried by salts and oils and kind of camouflage. But at the end of the day, that heavy presence of sugar is what's going to release the dopamine and keep you addicted. And, some corporate implications of you getting addicted to the food, because then you become a repeat customer. And, so anyway, you need to understand the anatomy and chemistry of plants, and then the anatomy and chemistry of people, and how the anatomy and chemistry of people and plants goes together, right? And when you get that, then after you kind of get some of that stuff down packed, the food stuff, and then much later on, the disease stuff, the healing, as well as the not even getting sick in the first place, like all those things will later on start to make sense, right? As opposed to just looking at court paperwork going, cap, because we don't understand what it is that we actually looking at, right? We don't understand. And unfortunately, Zip's audience may be less intelligent than Zip, even though there's people in Zip's audience, because I was over there today.
So while he was, going in on me, cussing me out, which I appreciate, people in the chat, though, it was every so often somebody in the chat would stick up like, yo, hold up, Zip, you don't know what you're talking about. Block. Yo, he was blocking them. You know what I'm saying? So he was basically filtering out the smart folks out of his chat and, keeping the dum-dums in there. But we're gonna work on it. We're gonna work on Zip, because Zip is slowly but surely revealing himself to be intelligent. Zip slowly but surely revealing himself to be intelligent. Right? Slowly but surely, we're getting another story from Zip. Right? Because primarily you only hear about the hooligan, Zip with the drip. But as he go back and forth with Dr. Inky, whether he likes it or not, more of the other guy is coming out. So he didn't spend his whole time in prison as a gang-banging, drug-dealing hooligan. He also spent a large portion of his time praying, practicing self-development, reading, studying, in school, college student. So all of those things are coming to the surface, right? And in 2024, those are the things that we need to come to the surface from the people that are carrying the torch, the influencers, right? That's what we need. So anyway, let's get to some Dr. Sebi 101, right? And feel free, like I said, to go to Amazon and get these books. All these books are on Amazon. Elijah Muhammad's book, How to Eat to Live. Go on ahead and get you that old school classic, because you honestly need to just own this, right? You need to have that. Like that's culture right there. Like that's culture. If your child knows the lyrics to Not Like Us and you don't have that book in your house, you should be ashamed of yourself. I'm just saying. And the reason why I'm picking that is because, AC jumped in here early and threw some Drake shit in chat. But no, people running around like Kendrick is, like they somehow enlightened or they conscious because they listen to Kendrick's not conscious. Kendrick's not a conscious rapper. He's not. Y'all gotta relax. Okay, you need to have these. That's a classic right there. You need to have that, right? But then also go and get these two books. In this book, right, we lay out a lot of the early premises and we start to build up on the more complex aspects of the chemistry and the science. In the back of the book, it's like a how to go raw, like how to incorporate a fruit and vegetable, like a plant-based diet, but like step by step. So if you don't want to seem like whatever, and you want to, want to keep it on the low, whatever the case may be, that you trying to dip your toe in and try out a new, you trying to eat, you want to get off of the Zip diet, the Zip with the Drip diet, steak and tap water. If you want to improve your diet from steak and tap water, right? In this book, in the back of the book, we have the step-by-step, just like a Q&A, give you some advice on how to start to transition yourself over, right? Because we don't want folks out there, at least not me. I don't even want you to be listening to an argument that I'm involved in and feel like I didn't provide you with a Yo. Yo. My man says steak and tap water. God bless him. All right, so let me think. Where should we start at? Because there's a bunch of stuff in here. All right, we're going to start right here. All right, we're going to start right here. Blah, blah, blah. Hindsight is 20/20, but it's also very shiny, blinding even. It's very comfortable to retreat to the sweet spots of your consciousness and stay there. To find whatever memory of time and space made the most sense to you and hide there. The gift of foresight feels like a sickness at best, at least until you find the rest of your mental clan out there. See, right now, I feel like Zip is lost. Zip is one of us. Zip is one of us. And that's why he, like, you've seen the last few videos. No, I'm not one of them. I'm not with the, and then, I think he's having like a withdrawal reaction because today's live, he was like, no, I'm filthy. I'm filthy. I'm dirty. Yeah, but Zip is one of us. Okay, Zip is one of us. Zip, his past is his past. We all got a past. Zip is one of us. Zip is an intelligent, educated, well-read. He just having trouble bringing that to the surface, right? So this is kind of like, and I wrote this book way before, like, you know what I'm saying? Kind of prophetic seeming of the situation right now, right? It's very comfortable to retreat to the sweet spots of your consciousness and stay there. To find whatever memory of time and space made the most sense to you and hide there. The gift of foresight feels like a sickness at best, at least until you find the rest of your mental clan out there. The small group of weirdos you belong to that sees the same future you do coming into existence. In most instances, it is these groups that wind up changing the world. Let me begin with saying thanks for just making it this far in the book with me. Lord only knows when your journey began with me. You have already read and I assume studied quite a bit. To get more bang for your diabetic buck or to just get more from your existence. Spot lipolysis is simply targeting a specific area to lose fat in. For many years, scientists claim this to be a myth. In many industries, what the scientists say contradicts what experience says. That usually splits industry into hardline old schoolers and the science-backed cutting-edge young hipsters. Fitness and wellness is not exempt. The trainers and bodybuilders that experience spot reduction to the standards of look and feel versus the science-backed new schoolers that strictly follow the books. Things get confusing, especially in matters like this. The truth is, everyone carries their fat differently, meaning we store sugar differently. This created the body type illusion. It's actually based on fat storage and nerve connectivity. You know your body better than any trainer or coach does. You have to make sure your program targets the most problematic places. Respectfully, the human body needs proteins, fats, carbohydrates. Living strictly on any one of the three is a starvation protocol. To be clear, you will not only burn fat or sugar in a specific area, but you can focus on that area. The stomach is a different monster altogether because of the omentum. You have multiple layers of fat to lose in here. It's the primary storage site for humans. Constant momentum and exercise is the key. Getting 8 to 12,000 steps a day is a great cheat code. I have to take a detour in this series before we could go any further with this conversation. In the holistic community, carbon is highly undervalued, misunderstood, and over exaggerated at the same time. So we have to clear this up. Water has no calories because water has no carbon. The behavior of carbon in our body will be the recurring theme of this conversation. So the books are written kind of like just conversation. So, there's a bunch of little typos here and there because I'm translating the science as best as possible into like a conversation so we can have an exchange, right? That's the easiest way to learn and the easiest way to teach, right? Just a one-on-one conversation, right? On the one hand, we have racist institutions that only teach melanin as a waste product from dopamine-based neurons. Contrasting the holistic, mystic, pineal, melanist ideology, right? So let me break that down. When it comes to carbon, you have two groups in the masses. You have one group of people that talk about carbon as a mystical, magical substance that's coming into your pineal gland, activating multiple dimensions and all kinds of other crazy foolishness. And then on the flip side, you have people that attribute carbon to being melanin and, there's no such thing as melanin, only carbon. And, melanin is a waste product of your body and just all kind of confusion, right? And again, this is how that confusion, right, amongst the people who are supposed to know better, right? That's what leads to a zip, right? So when you have guys like Yaki or Victor or, even KT to a large extent out there now, who are just, mixing up information, teaching gobbledygook, and as long as they get money, they don't really care if people are educated properly or not, right? I told y'all repeatedly over the last 10 years, over and over and over and over again. If y'all want to be able to continue to make y'all money and hustle and do, approach this however y'all want to approach it. Even back when I was talking to King Erner, right? Because King Erner was out there running around with sea moss like he was flipping pounds of weed. I'm like, bro, this sea moss is not weed. You cannot sell sea moss like you sell weed, bro. You need to learn a little bit more about algae, right? Pick up a phycology book, you know what I'm saying? And then, you got to come from a different angle with this. This ain't, you're just buying a pound for this price and flipping it for another price. Like that's not that. This ain't that. Right? If we want to protect the enterprise, if we want to protect the industry, if we want people to still be able to get some sea moss and do their thing with it and get creative and make a few dollars at the same time, and we have to protect the space. We got to protect the science, right? If we want people to be able to still do the herb thing, and maybe my children and your children and their children to be able to still have that lane open to them, we got to protect the science. If we get goofy and we just start teaching anything, saying anything to advance, sales and people are going to start to get the wrong impression about what it is that we do. And then pretty soon you got a bunch of influencers out there like Zip poisoning sick people, right? Because Zip, first of all, is sick himself. Zip got some shit going on. That's clear to anybody that watches Zip, because, his chest, the congestion and all that, so most of his audience is either on medication. This has nothing to do with him. This is just our community. Most of that audience is either on medication or they should be on medication because they got shit going on that they're undiagnosed for, right? Just because you undiagnosed doesn't mean you're healthy, right? Just because you didn't go to the doctor and the doctor didn't tell you you got some stuff going on, you got some stuff going on. Okay, if you're a man and you're under 70 years old and you're not waking up with a salute, or even worse, when it's time to perform, you having trouble, that's early warnings of heart disease. My name is Minister Inky. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin vs. Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own. All right, so so for a bunch of different reasons, that's why we got to start with the issue of carbon. Or that's why I thought it would be best to start with the issue of carbon, because not only is carbon the issue of a lot of confusion in the quote unquote holistic space, the plant-based space, but even outside of that, you will hear people saying like this is for carbon-based people and just all kinds of weird shit. Like, there are no other type of people. There's only carbon-based people. So like, if you're trying to come up with a code for Black people, you need to get another one. White people are carbon-based, right? Chinese people are carbon-based. You know what I'm saying? Mongolian, Brazilian, Spanish, Irish, Germans are carbon-based. Like, there are no life forms on Earth that are not carbon-based. Bumblebees are carbon-based. Worms are carbon-based. Like, slugs are carbon-based. Fleas, lions, tigers, bears, oh my. Everything that's alive is carbon-based. Right? So this is why, even with the generational health series, right? The generational health series important because people don't know basic chemistry. If you don't know basic chemistry, it's not possible for you to understand health. These are facts, right? These are only facts. So regardless to who you listening to, selling you herbs, you buying detox from this guy, that guy. They might be great salesmen and they might be good repeaters, right? They might be good repeaters. Polite was a good repeater, right? A lot of people thought Polite was incredibly intelligent. Polite had a good memory. He could remember things and repeat them, right? That's what he was good at. You know, a lot of the people you think are healers are good repeaters. So they'll listen to somebody else say something, then they'll go hit the live button. You hit the live button and say this before I forget it. Bop, 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 bop. Go to my website. It's different than having a grasp of it. It's different than having a grasp of the chemistry yourself, right? So, because carbon plays such a central role in the mystical sciences, spiritual sciences, pseudosciences, health sciences, and it's literally the backbone of chemistry. This book is the carbon edition, right? This book is the carbon edition, right? So, the truth about melanin, right? This is something that Dr. Sebi started. This is some confusion Dr. Sebi started. The debate between melanin and carbon. Is melanin carbon? Is carbon melanin? Does melanin actually exist? Is melanin something? That whole conversation only exists in the plant-based movement, inspired outside of books. Right? The truth about melanin is somewhere in between the mundane and miraculous. This book is dedicated to Alfredo Dr. Sebi Bowman in the same spirit of duality. Just as much as it's important to praise our elders' genius, it's important not to romanticize the few times they may have been wrong, so we can continue building on the foundation they left us, right? So when I said that Zip is not qualified to critique Dr. Sebi, that was not me saying by any stretch of the imagination that we should not be critiquing Dr. Sebi. Only by critiquing Dr. Sebi do we find the room for growth and the room for where we need more research so we could keep building and add on, right? But that has to be from a qualified, like you, Zip has to relax, right? No single statement or slightly off guesstimate about melanin. My name is Minister Inky. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin vs. Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own. Go to Amazon now. All right, so no single untrue statement or slightly off guesstimate about melanin has been more impactful than Dr. Sebi's comments. Melanin, quote, I'm quoting here. These are all direct quotes from Dr. Sebi himself. Melanin is not a mineral. Melanin is a word. That word was used to describe a certain biological function. But that particular identification or category or thing, melanin, is a European identification of what they think activates those neurons in our body that make us black. He also acknowledges that the stuff that makes us black comes from those types of cells. But when you break down, all right, so we're gonna come out of the quotes. I guess I'm gonna say in quotes, and then we'll, right, to make it. If you have this book, you can read along. You'll see what, right. But so let's end the quotes there. But that particular identification or category or thing, melanin, is a European identification of what they think activates those neurons in our body that make us black. End quote. Right. When you have the ability to go line for line, information presents itself differently. Clearly, it's personal with the melanin thing. Dr. Sebi recognizes the terms nerves and neurons without a problem. And he also acknowledges that the stuff that makes us black comes from those types of cells. Right? So what I'm pointing out is that Dr. Sebi said melanin is fake because melanin, the word melanin, is a European term. But so are nerves and so are neurons. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? He was tapping into that Kamala, Joe Biden. He was tapping into the race politics right there. See, a lot of people that are against the system, you know, especially at that time when Dr. Sebi was at his prime, you know, like Jordan in between the 6 championships, that was Mike Prime. Then later on, we had Washington Wizards Mike. In the 80s, you had, you know, prime Dr. Sebi. That was Dr. Sebi's prime. In the 90s, going into the 2000s, you had Washington Wizards Sebi. It was, these are facts, right? All right, you're back to the quote. But when you break down our body, our biological structure into what we would have to put it in, chemistry, biochemistry, melanin has no place. It's not to be found in the body. That which is attributed to melanin is carbon. Carbon not only determines the quality of life for Black folks, carbon determines the quality of life in every living plant that exists that is natural. If carbon is absent, there is no life. Melanin, what is it? I don't know. End quotes, right? So this is what Dr. Sebi taught about melanin. This is how you can see my signature, right? When you see my student, KT, the arch degree out there running around, and he's telling people, oh, Inky is not my teacher. Dr. Sebi was my teacher. Listen, it is absolutely in every shape, form, or fashion. And listen, I understand it from a poverty, from a gotta get money and take care of these babies, like from a I gotta do what I gotta do standpoint. You gotta think about it. Y'all know me, I'm the most hated. So it doesn't open doors to say you're Dr. Inky student. No celebrities want to buy your stuff and hire you to come, you know, like. But if you say you're a Dr. Sebi student, doors start to open up. Erykah Badu wants you to come make her some kale salad, you know, like These are only facts. Right? I'm explaining to you guys, right? So you see my signature, my handiwork, right? KT, the arts degree, his whole information based around melanin, which Dr. Sebi said doesn't exist. It's not real. It's fake. So if Dr. Sebi was KT's primary teacher, then KT would also be teaching that melanin is fake. It's not real. It doesn't. Dr. Inky, the pigment and fiber guy, though, on the other hand, if I'm his teacher, then he would be running around teaching about either pigment or fiber or both, which is clearly what he's doing out there. Right? So shout out to all of my wayward students that's out there helping people, right? Whether our relationship is whatever, they still out there running around benefiting. They're snatching the French fries out of folks' mouth, putting the salad, so whatever, however, yeah, work's still getting done, right? But we got to deal with these misconceptions, because the misconceptions lead later on to people with 100,000 viewers saying that, what we're doing is fake. And when you got people saying what we're doing is fake, then that's where open up the doors to people thinking that we scamming and largely it's only the brown, black, and Spanish community that feels this way. Every other group of people is largely invested into understanding how plants benefit their health. Every other people is largely invested into understanding different forms of exercise and how different forms of exercise could extend their longevity. Every other group of people, guess what? Because they don't have these goofy beliefs, they have longer lifespans than we do. So because we're running around with the ignorance in our mind, right? It shows when we look at the numbers. There's two things that you got to consider when we talk about longevity. You have a lifespan and then you have a health span. Lifespan is how long you're going to live. That's how long you're going to breathe. That's how long you're going to respire, right? But your health span is how long you are going to be alive, up and around, right? Alive, up and around. So typically, on average, a person's health span is 10 years shorter than their lifespan. So average black man, right? Average black man, his lifespan is into his middle 60s, mid 60s, right? His average health span is in his mid 50s. So that means on average, the cardiovascular, the thing that's going to kill him kicks in his 50s. And he fights, with surgeries, medication, or however he chooses to fight that battle. And eventually, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, it gets him. It gets him. Right? So the health span, where he enjoyed his freedom of mobility, moving around, eating what he wanted to eat, doing what he wanted to do, waking up when he wanted. Early to mid 50s on average is when that ends. Random pains just start all over the body, unexplainable. Those random pains become more consistent over time, and then you get a diagnosis. Then you hide as long as you can before you go see them people, and then you get a diagnosis, and yeah, it's ugly from there, right? So health span usually 10 years shorter than lifespan, right? And the fact that we got all these goofy beliefs about food, about diet, about exercise, about what can happen and what can't happen. You know, what can food do for us, what food can't do for us. It shows up in the numbers. Because we don't understand to invest our time and our money in the shit that has a value. Knowledge of self, learning self. Not necessarily learning, you know, the population of the planet Earth or how many miles from here to the sun. No. Learning your mitochondria, learning your cardiovascular system. That's actually the knowledge of self that I'm talking about. That's what we preach over here. The Melanin versus Diabetes Ministry. This is what we preach. That's knowledge of self. Learning how the reproductive system actually works from the inside out. Not learning how the reproductive, not the birds and the bees. We talk about the atoms and the genes. Right? Not, oh, well, you know, your penis gets hard and you insert it into a vagina and you move back and forth and a weird feeling comes over you, and then that's not the reproductive system. This is why most of our men, their penis no longer works. This is a fact. And this should be like the ultimate red flag. Like this should be this should be the most important thing. Like our penises don't work anymore. Like it doesn't get any more basic than that. You don't need to even read to understand that shit there. Like our penises don't work. They're not getting hard. And we have low sperm quality. The sperm aren't swimming. The sperm, like we're not fertile people anymore. Like we're losing our fertility. We're losing our ability to make babies. In the same way, like most basketball coaches, right? Most basketball coaches, think about this for a second. Most basketball coaches qualify and demonstrate their ability to be a coach by playing the game. Right? Show me that you know how to do this before you start trying to coach me. Not only do I have, certified naturopathic doctor, I also have 10 babies. I also raise all those babies. Well, most of them. Right? So on multiple levels, I'm qualified for this conversation. Right? Multiple levels, I'm qualified for this conversation. Right? But when the men penises no longer work, that's a problem. The women's vaginas no longer work. And most of the men and the women were too ignorant of their own bodies to know what was going on. So what happened is we just become promiscuous. We just cheat. We just figure in our mind, ladies, that it's the man. Especially because, he might not be getting hard like he used to, or he might not be able to go as many times as he used to go, or as long as he used to go. So now that you're not having orgasms, you're going to blame it on his performance. When what you really don't understand is 9.9 out of 10 times, if y'all in a relationship, y'all eat together. Yeah, y'all eat together, smoke together. Usually a guy that smokes weed is involved with a girl that smokes weed, so they can smoke together. A guy that do pills usually involved with a woman that do pills, so they could do pills together. Right? A guy that does powder, that's a guy that drinks beer. He wants a girl that drinks beer. They can go out and have drinks together. Right? Literally, relationship. We have something in common, right? People that smoke cigarettes, Now, later on, as people grow together, they may make some changes and later on, but usually, so as he's aging and progressing, as his vices are now turning into disease over time, those same vices are also turning into disease over you. A man has to have a hard on in order to initiate the sex. So a woman has to have her own hard on. It's called engorgement. The fluids have to rush into the clitoris and the clitoris has to get hard. The harder the clitoris is, the faster she's going to have an orgasm. Now, different women have different size clitorises. You know what I'm saying? The smaller it is, the easier the engorgement, the easier to get orgasm. Only facts. Right? Only facts. Now, foreplay helps. Foreplay helps because it allows for maximum stimulation, whatever that's going to be. But the capillaries that go into the clitoris, that go into the penis, are some of the smallest in the human body. So any gunk and all that starts to clog up the system, like it's going to be affected. So if you understand how the body works, your private parts can be a warning for heart disease, man and female. Man and female, right? Also varicose veins. Men primarily get high blood pressure. Women primarily get varicose veins. You know, Venus and Mars, Venus, you know, Venus is, yeah. So all these things can point stuff out, right? But when we get the warning signs, we're ignorant. We're not interested in the science, right? So when the problems happen, which are warnings that we could take care of early on, reverse it before the problems get worse, we don't fix it. We just go to the gas station, the supermarket, wherever, get some Extend, some Black Samurai, some, you know, some purple, you know, some Viagras, we go get something to mask the issue. As long as we could do what feels good, right? As long as we can get that dopamine, we good, right? Men penises don't work. Women's vaginas don't work on the outside to give them an orgasm. Their vaginas don't work on the inside. They're becoming not fertile. They can't make babies. So you got folks with money. I believe Remy did it. John Legend with his girl. A whole bunch of people. They having IVF babies, right? Because the penis don't work or the vagina don't work or both. They're not able to conceive. And instead of figure out what's going on and try to correct that, we're going to mask the issue. Let's just go ahead and get an IVF, you know. Women having babies, even women that could get pregnant, their breasts don't work. So women having babies and they can't make milk for the baby. They can't make breast milk for the baby. Why? That's because all these goofy beliefs. See, y'all don't understand why I have to take time and engage these conversations, like, because all these things, one thing leads to another. Zip with the drip is going to condition his audience. His audience is going to be full of women that, you know, they eat McDonald's and shit, like they eat smoking cigarettes and eat McDonald's while they pregnant. Yeah, smoking cigarettes and eating McDonald's while they pregnant. Listening to Zip, as Zip complaining about guys that sold crack to pregnant women in the 80s. He's selling McDonald's and cigarettes to them in the 2000s right now. right? Or steak and tap water, right? These women gonna be having steak and tap water, right? And when they have the baby, they're not gonna be able to produce milk. So now what happens? Well, the mother's diet increases the chances of a C-section baby or not being able to produce milk after having the baby, right? And a C-section baby is crippled in terms of their immune system. A baby that doesn't have breast milk is crippled. Their immune system is weaker. It's not that they're not going to have one, it's not like, but it's weaker. It's weaker because there are things that have yet to be able to be duplicated in a laboratory that's a part of breast milk that you can't get in powdered milk replacements. Right? The entire external microbiome that coats a baby's body as the baby comes down the vaginal canal and all that. That's a large part of the baby's immune system. When you do the C-section, they don't come through the vaginal canal, so they don't even get any of that anointing. That's literally like a full body anointing, blessing, protection, force field that they get from coming down that. And then we have a large majority of babies that are C-section and bottle fed, not understanding the connection of the breast milk to the immune system or to the baby's developing nervous system and brain. And when that child with an underdeveloped brain and nervous system get into school, they're not going to perform as well as the other kids. And that inability to keep up with the rest of the kids mentally usually, not always, but usually translates into, a higher propensity towards violence or a higher propensity toward being withdrawn. All of these things are connected. Right? So we got to address all these little things because this is our community. Right? This is our community. What are we doing? Right? All right. Back to the quotes. Back to Dr. Sebi. White folk talk about protein. What is protein? They say one of the 19 amino acids, the building blocks of life. But I know for a fact that is not true. Because if protein was the building blocks of life, what happened to the gorilla that lives 180 years without eating anything that contains protein? Unless they're going to say that the plants contain protein too. They always saying things, and because we have no laboratory to investigate those claims, we have to swallow it hook, line, and sinker. Miss Frances Cress Wilson mentioned melanin, and I asked her, what is this thing? And I know she could not adequately answer the question because she was trained by someone European. So when you are trained by Europeans and told these things, you have to regurgitate these things. But no, they are completely in error. We have to be careful. It's like a brother recommend that you use comfrey for your bones. That is in the books from the European philosophers from the European philosophical days. But when you look at comfrey a little bit, you'll find it contains starch. Again, another European philosophy. Melanin falls under the same category. It is a belief, not a reality. Right? So again, we got to critique Dr. Sebi because some people are going to be listening to those quotes and they're going to think that's scientific, right? Comfrey is not good because it contains starch. So Dr. Sebi is largely responsible for popularizing sea moss, right? And here's how you could just see, if you don't know the science, how easily you could be misled. He said comfrey is no good because it contains starch, but he recommends sea moss. Sea moss contains starch. Sea moss contains starch. So does most of the food that's on his food list. All contain starch. Why? Because that's literally what plants do. Plants practice photosynthesis. They turn light, right? They take light and they take carbon dioxide and they create hydrated carbon. Hydrated carbon. Hydrated carbon is able to trap the energy of the sunlight, right? And that is sugar crystals. When you put those sugar crystals together, right, you have starches. Starch is just nature's way for plants to store sugar. The same way, like humans, we have a different form of sugar storage, which they nickname human starch, which is glycogen, right? So glycogen, this is all animals, all life forms have to have ways of compactly storing sugar. It's like back in the days, you used to put the money in the shoebox, right? The shoebox would be considered a starch, right? The individual bills that you got in the shoebox is still sugars. Those would be considered monomers of sugar, right? A monomer of sugar, a single unit of simple sugar, right, would be a bill. Ones, fives, 10s, 20, doesn't matter. Once you stack all them bills up in the shoebox is considered a starch. A whole bunch of individual sugars stacked together. That's all starch is, right? That's all starch is. But not understanding how your body metabolizes sugar is where the problem comes in. So again, back in the 70s, going into the 80s, which is the prime of Sebi, all of the science that exists now didn't exist in that time. And also, he came from the school of Elijah Muhammad, eat once a day. So as far as Sebi was concerned, the best way to metabolize food was to only eat a little bit of it, which is the Elijah Muhammad philosophy. Stop eating. Like, just stop eating. Now we could be a little bit more scientific. We could realize that different people have different lifestyles. Therefore, they need different types of food, different amounts of food. The same amount of food that I need is not the same amount of food that a outside linebacker for the Jets need. You know what I'm saying? Like, the same amount of food that an outside linebacker for the New York Jets or the Detroit Lions need is not going to be the same amount of food that a daycare teacher needs. Like, the amount of protein that a professional, like LeBron needs is not the same amount of protein that Drake needs, right? So now we understand these different components. We can put them together better in place, right? And we don't have to have superstition. Because see, I took an oath to fight ignorance, fear, and superstition, right? That's what I do, right? You wonder what this hat means? That's what this hat means. This hat means I fight ignorance, fear, and superstition, right? So not understanding starch and thinking that starch intrinsically is a bad guy is, again, victim mentality. That's where you make food into a religion instead of a science, right? You start to think that starch is a demon. Starch is not a demon. Your unwillingness, whatever that is that possesses you to not go to Amazon and purchase the books, that's the demon. The thing that possesses you and makes you not stop immediately right now and say, yo, this information that Inky is giving us is way valuable than what Charleston White is giving us. And Charleston White is getting, wait, how much money is Charleston White getting? Let's shit, because Inky need to be at least getting.
Charleston getting more than that interview. Oh Lord, that's crazy. I done got 40,000 for an interview.
Damn.
I went to California last year. Right after the BET Awards, man. I was right, man, 40,000. Nigga, I did a 8-hour interview.
Faith and love, love and faith, believe, faith and love, love.
See, y'all don't understand the butterfly effect of the internet. You never know who's watching your video. You can have 10 people watching your video. You don't know who that 10 people are. Even if you got 1 million people watching, you don't know who that 1 million people are. So when you look at that clip, right, it's not only me that's listening to Charleston. What is Vlad and what's his, I think, is it Marlon Wayans, the Wayans brother? I forgot which Wayans brother it is. What did he tell Vlad? Vlad, if you want me to do an interview, you got to pay me $40,000. Vlad, like, yo, I'm not going to make back $40,000 off this interview. I'm not paying you $40,000 for an interview. And the Wayans brother's like, okay, I'm good. If you don't want to pay my price, that's cool. Go about your business. But Vlad is like trying to drag him in public for, and I'm sure from the Wayans brother perspective, he like, hold up. There's no way in hell Charleston White getting 40,000 and I'm getting ready to get interviewed at the same, the same spots as Charleston, and y'all getting ready to pay me less than y'all paying. So on the one hand, I can understand Vlad's perspective, but on the other hand, I can definitely understand the Wayans brother perspective. Like, hold on, man, we got to get some type of pay scale. But Wayans brother, you old, you showing your age. You got to realize the internet doesn't have a value. Niggas on the internet is insane. So yeah, you could do $1 billion in movie sales and still get paid less than somebody like Charleston who hasn't been in a movie yet, right? Or whatever the case may be. So I can teach people literally how to save their lives, and I'm gonna have to fight. My lights might go off, waiting for some cash apps to come through. Right, my lights might go off. We might be on ramen noodles for a couple of weeks, or like it might get crazy around here. We might just be eating the salad. Like it might not be anything else to go. That's how it goes. You know what I'm saying? But we have some people that support. They try to make sure we good. We got something to eat, but it's a labor of love. It's a labor of love, right? But these are obvious inconsistencies once you start learning the science, right? And once you start learning the science, you don't have to rely on race or things like, we know this is not true because white people made it up. First things first. Let's just do this. First things first. First things first. On the surface, in 2024, we need to start slapping people saying ridiculous things like that. Oh, white people made, that's white people science. We gotta eliminate that. That's always been a pet peeve of mine, because the same people would tell you, oh, that's white people science. Those are the same people that would tell you that the black man created all science and the white folks didn't make up any science. So it's just a cover for ignorance. When the science backs their claims, whatever it happens to be at the moment, the science is good, right? When Dr. Sebi uses the terms nerves and neurons, quote unquote, invented by white folks, it's cool. When Dr. Sebi uses the term chemistry and biochemistry invented by white folks, it's cool. When Dr. Sebi teaches you acid and alkaline, terms invented by white folks, it's cool. But when those terms somehow turn into something that doesn't sell his product because he was primarily a salesman, not a teacher. Oh, melanin. No, that's made up by white folks. That doesn't mean that's no good. Amino acids. Oh no, amino acids. Because back in the 70s and 80s, right, amino acids and protein was thought to only be something that was in meat. See, y'all don't know how far science has come in the last 50 years. 40, 50 years ago, that's why boxers, they just, let me get a steak. That's football players, construction, like people, let me get a steak. I need some protein, because meat was protein, synonymous. If you was eating plants as a vegetarian, because the term vegan hadn't even been invented yet, you wasn't eating any protein, because plants didn't have protein. Plants were carbohydrates. We didn't know any better. Now we know that plants also have fats and protein, or rather amino acids, or like now we know it's a lot different than what we thought 50 years ago. But the problem is we're studying the philosophy still of men who are dead from 50 and 100 years ago, who lived in times where the science was. So they may have been cutting edge in their day. In their day, they were ahead of the time. So they became legendary by being ahead of the time in their day, right? Elijah Muhammad in the 30s and 40s and 50s, him and Farad, right? Dr. Sebi back in the 70s and the 80s, right? But 50 years later, their cutting edge creations are now rudimentary. Some of these things even outdated. So we have to be able to see, okay, no, this is still all wise, right, and exact. That goes over here. Ooh, this right here. Wow, can't believe the OG said this one. Ooh, let's tuck this. Let's get this out the way and get some real understanding so we could develop that and put that into the culture, right? At some point, students must graduate, especially if the subject we are studying isn't expanding. Translation: if you're following a dead person or a doctrine left behind by someone that transitioned, you have to graduate at some point. In regard to this conversation, you should not be strictly sticking to a food menu from 1985. Is the food list from Dr. Sebi still good? If you understand the food list. If you understand the food list. I want y'all to understand, I'm the person that even the children, like those Dr. Sebi websites, as I teach things, they update those websites and take what my teachings and put it under his name. Yeah. Because I'm the first person that told people, listen, Dr. Sebi didn't eat off the Dr. Sebi food list. That's one of the big secrets about Sebi. Everybody that was close to Sebi knows Sebi was eating seafood and all kinds of other shit. Why? Because the food list was invented, again, go back to the original split between Sebi and the Nation of Islam. Sebi wanted to come up with a protocol to heal people. The food list is the basic part of that protocol. Any problems that you have, let's press the reset button and go back to nature. Here is the natural foods that you need to go back to reset yourself. Reset. Here you go. And that was based on the Bible. he started with the Bible and then researched on top of the Bible and developed. But early on in his lectures, he was promoting the 40-day fast from the Bible, which is why when Diallo told me that I needed to go on a fast, I went right to the Bible and invented the 40-day fast. That's where I came up with it from, the 40-day fast, right? The 40-day fruit fast. I'm the founder of the 40-day fruit fast. So now you had, I forgot who up there at the radio station tried to steal it. So a DJ from my neighborhood, Mark, damn, I forgot his DJ name. Mighty Mark. I think that's his DJ name, DJ Mighty Mark. He's from my block in the Bronx. He was working at Hot 97 or either 105, whatever. One of them two radio stations. Anyway, I was, feeding him a lot of the science. You know what I'm saying? He's from my block. Like a lot of people from my neighborhood, but they know me from back in the day, so it's hard for them to see me in a doctor capacity. You know what I'm saying? They remember too much. So anyway, I'm telling him all kind of shit, whatever. And, everybody, but fast forward, he has an accident. And now, coming out of the hospital, he really trying to grasp on to a lot of the stuff that I was telling him and all that. So he goes back, takes it to his job, whatever, share it with folks there, whatever. And then all of a sudden, these niggas over there, they come up with a 40-day reset diet. So all of a sudden, they now promoting 40-day reset. Stealing Dr. Inky drip, right? You got this goofball, this young gentleman, right? He's snorting cocaine, trying to be a drug dealer to justify his rap career. Don't get high off your own supply. So he's getting high off his own coke and crack. So he's obviously not a good drug dealer. And then when you're getting high off your own supply, what's happening? The money is coming up funny. So now you owe people money. You're getting into beef and all that. So he wound up getting shot, right? So after getting so high, he almost OD and then getting shot behind, funny money. He decided to get out the drug dealing business, right? And then he steals the 40-day fruit fast and names himself Yaki Awakening. So that's how there's a Yaki Awakening, right? So all of these are students of the GOAT, Dr. Inky, right? Okay, anyway, all that being said, right? Sebi, Lineage, he was inspired by Elijah Muhammad, but he critiqued Elijah Muhammad. I want y'all to understand this. He studied Elijah Muhammad. He was a student of Elijah Muhammad. Once he studied everything, then he made educated critiques of Elijah Muhammad. And from those educated critiques, he went on later to start his own movement based on his research and findings, where he could improve on what Elijah had done. Right? Dr. Inky was inspired by Sebi, Elijah Muhammad. Hell, I was inspired by Queen Afua, Jewel Pookrum, Arnold Ehret. Definitely super inspired by Robert Becker. You know what I'm saying? Like I had a bunch of inspirations, you know what I'm saying? But sure. I mean, even in my personal life, I had my adopted Uncle Willie, my Uncle Jojo, my cousin Cavario, you know what I'm saying? Like he started Don Diva and all that, running around in the street. You know what I'm saying? Like a super wild hooligan. But he was on plant-based, so I had a bunch of different inspirations, you know what I'm saying? So all I said to say, we have up-to-date cutting edge research for 2024. Right? Up to date cutting edge research for 2024. Not cutting edge for 1940, not cutting edge for 1985. Cutting edge for 2024. Right? If Dr. Sebi was still alive, he would not be eating from that food list. In truth, he wasn't eating from that food list when he was alive. Right? We went through that. Let's start with the context he used starch in regarding comfrey. The context is simply untrue because starch doesn't make a plant poisonous or acidic. Right? Starch does not make a plant poisonous or acidic. Right? And acid is nothing that you should be running from. So the whole concept of acid and alkaline is rooted in chemistry. But most people that talk about acid and alkaline food have no idea what they're talking about. Your DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, like literally your essence is acid. So my name is Minister Inky. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin vs. Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own. I see we got some comments. I didn't think we had nobody up with us this late at night. I said they're gonna see this. They're gonna see this tomorrow, right? Definitely hit the like button. If you not subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you already subscribe to the channel, unsubscribe to the channel and then resubscribe to the channel. I need y'all clicking buttons. I need some traffic, some momentum. I need some energy on these videos. Okay? I need y'all to send me some actual energy in the Cash App, and I need y'all to send me some physical energy in regards to hitting these buttons. So I need you to hit the like button. If you already hit the like button, hit the like button again. Unlike the video, re-like the video. Hit some buttons. I need y'all hitting some buttons right now. If you subscribed already, unsubscribe and resubscribe. If you like the video already, damn it, unlike the video and re-like the video again. Tell the algorithm, send the algorithm a message, right? It don't take 1 million people to change the world. Only a small handful, right? I learned that in the neighborhood. A strong, small unit is way bigger than a flimsy whole bunch of, yeah. Right? So we got some folks. Ooh, now look at this here. Look at what we have here. See, when I start talking that talk, some certain people pop up. I gotta get with my man Crip Jesus. I gotta get Crip Jesus on the platform. Yeah, because this he in his music bag, you know, he moving around with his history and all that, but make no mistake, this is one of the gods right here. This is one of the gods, and he comes from a lineage of gods. So I'm gonna have to bring Crip Jesus. Yeah, I'm gonna have to bring Crip Jesus out of retirement over here on my platform. Yo, you already know. They ain't sending out these notifications. Shout out to Detroit, bro. Shout out to Detroit. Shout out D-Town Detroit, but definitely shout out Detroit as a whole. Detroit, like, I can't even say Detroit adopted me. Detroit stole me. They abducted me and kept me. It was like, yeah, I came here. Crazy coincidence. But, you know, I don't believe in coincidence. But I moved to Detroit the same week, like maybe the week before or the week of, a few days before Dr. Kiefer transition. And the crazy thing is, every time I would come to do a lecture in Detroit, everybody would be like, yo, you got to meet Dr. Kiefer. You got to meet Dr. Kiefer. You got to meet Dr. Kiefer. And I just kept putting it off. And when I finally moved to Detroit, that was one of the things on my bucket list. And I came here the week that she transitioned. And everybody was like, yo, that's not a mistake. Soon as we lost a great one, we got a young great one in training. You know, a young great one in training. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Kiefer was, them shoes is big. You can't fill them shoes. Just like you can't fill Sebi shoes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, people that done dedicated their whole life to a thing, I'm a LeBron fan. When it's a LeBron versus Mike conversation, LeBron is the GOAT as far as Dr. Inky's concerned. But could LeBron fill Jordan's shoes? No, because LeBron's standing on Mike's shoulders, right? So he's able to do what he's able to do because of, right? I'm able to come with the level of information I'm able to come with because of Sebi's contribution and Elijah's, and all the way back, you know, all the way back to Imhotep, right? So, because if there was no Sebi, I'd have to pick up the ball where Elijah left it, and I'd probably have run it just as far as Sebi did, and then somebody would have to pick it up from there. Just like after I'm done, somebody will have to pick it up from wherever I leave it and take it to another level. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely appreciate the love and y'all niggas for being up this late. Right? I love y'all for being up this late. My official thoughts on mushrooms. Yeah, you be starting shit. My official thought on mushrooms. See, look, you don't see with your eyes and you don't hear with your ears. You see and you hear with your mind. So when that question pops up, right? What's your official thought on mushrooms? It depends on what you got in your mind and what you heard. Now, when some people see that question, they go, "Oh yeah, white mushrooms, portobello mushrooms." You know, that's where their mind go. You got another group of people see that same question, and their mind immediately goes to reishi mushrooms and shiitake mushrooms, and they in that bag, right? The black Haitian mushrooms, you know, they in the healing mushrooms bag. Some people in the culinary, you know, your oysters and your portobellos, they in that bag. Then you got the holistic drug addicts, right? The holistic drug addicts, they in another bag when they see that question, because they're going to see that question and go, oh yeah, is Inky doing the shrooms? You know, the shrooms. Is Inky on shrooms? What you think about shrooms, Inky? So mushrooms. My love-hate relationship with mushrooms, right? Mushrooms are good. Mushrooms are good within reason. Which mushrooms you talk about? The healing ones, the eating ones, or the get high ones? I'm gonna just say mushrooms are good. I would just say mushrooms are good within reason. Yeah. The holistic drug addicts. The certified facts. Because niggas will do anything to justify their own BS. Right? So if you look at people that like to smoke weed, you talk to them about weed, they start telling you all kind of shit about endocannabinoids and how the weed is working for inflammation and cancer. You be like, hold up, nigga, but you ain't got none of that. You just came home from work and you just rolling up to get your mind together. Same thing with the shrooms. You start talking to them about shrooms or ayahuasca or something. They say, oh no, but the shaman and the ancient ancestors, they use this to get into a meditation. Yeah, but that's not what you doing, nigga. That's not what you doing. You're not going on a vision quest. You're not practicing inner alchemy. You haven't trained yourself at higher levels of meditation and da. You don't even know the biochemistry. So if you haven't studied biochemistry, you can't have a proper inner journey because you don't even know what you're looking at. When you start to see the colors and the shapes and the different, what seems to be different beings and all that, you don't know what those things are. You don't know how to identify them because you haven't studied self yet. So you just going to trip out. That's why they had the hippies call it tripping. You know what I'm saying? Because they looking at a bunch of stuff they don't understand because they're just trying to have fun. Right? And then you get addicted to the fun and you're an addict. Yeah. But niggas will tell you all kind of ancient spiritual shit, like as if they're just doing that. Like that's not what they're doing. They're not fasting for 3 days or 14 days before they go on a trip and they're not. They're just getting high. You know, mixing the weed with the mushrooms and Patron and that's it. I was listening to an interview. I forgot who. Hold on. It's going to pop into my mind right now. It was Charlemagne talking to damn. I'm almost certain it was Charlemagne talking to damn, I got his name right there. Ass, Big Sean. It was Charlemagne interviewing Big Sean. And he was like, yeah, I'm into holistic drugs. Not Big Sean. Charlemagne the Mortal. Charlemagne the Mortal. He kills me with Charlemagne the God. And he don't drop no science, no mathematics, no nothing. Like, how does he came up with this Charlemagne the God? Like, that's blasphemous. But Charlemagne was talking about he's into, you know, mushrooms and ayahuascas and all of that kind of stuff. But mushrooms is an old family of fungi, and fungi have been on this planet for a long time. So there's a lot of information / nutrition in the fungi family, right? That, you know, for various things, you know, we can use them, you know what I'm saying? Incorporate them into our regular diet, some things into our not so regular diet, right? But there are things that we need, that we can find in the fungi that's good for us, right? Yeah. So there's mushrooms are good. Mushrooms are good. Just say, be careful. Be careful. I got to put a disclaimer with the mushrooms because you got a certain sector of people moving around these black internet groups and platforms. They're going to start talking to you about mushrooms and ayahuasca. And before you know it, they're going to start talking to you about chakras. And then they're going to be trying to put something in your booty hole. Yo, I don't know why y'all start me. I don't know why y'all get me started. Yeah. Y'all gotta leave me alone. Yeah. You gotta allow me when I'm teaching. Just don't open up no doorways for me to start no bullshit. Peace and blessings out there to everybody. My name is Dr. Inky, the founder of the Melanin versus Diabetes movement and ministry. Our goal is to fight diabetes by creating a biochemically literate society, one book at a time, one person at a time, one household at a time. Join us now by going to Amazon.com and getting all of the books, getting all of the books that you can afford, even if you can't read them all. Share them with family, share them with loved ones. Let's begin the study. And if you need tutoring sessions are available at AmericanHealer.website. I can give you one-on-one tutoring through these books. Let's build a biochemically literate society, one person at a time. Thanks in advance.
A man has something called a G-spot. And the only way you can get through it is through his anus.
Nah, I don't want my son under no nigga like that.
A man has something called a G-spot. And the only way you can get through it is through his anus.
Nah, I don't want my son under no nigga like that.
A man has something called a G-spot. And the only way you can get through it is through his anus.
Nah, I don't want my son under no nigga like that.
Oh shit. I gotta relax. So I have to put out those warnings because you got predators out here that are, oh yeah, these mushrooms, it's ayahuasca, and yeah, because we're gonna activate your chakra system, and yeah, so we're gonna go up your. So all right. We gotta get back to the information, man. All right, so back to the information. Plants breathe in carbon and we breathe out carbon. Plants produce aromatic amino acids and we only consume them. Plant starch is a long-term sugar storage. We use glycogen for long-term sugar storage. Plants don't have protein either. Question mark. Dr. Sebi's analogy of the gorilla versus the polar bear has also become part of the legend, but requires much clarity. Gorillas eat almost the entire time they are awake, primarily so that they could get enough protein in for the day. Like literally, if a gorilla is awake for 12 hours, the gorilla is literally eating 11 and a half of those hours. Because that's how long it takes the gorilla to get the amino acids it needs for the day, right? Plants produce all proteins, especially aromatic amino acids. Plants produce all proteins. And I have proteins in quotations because protein is a misnomer. What the body needs is amino acids. So for those of you that's new, you just listening, you trying to learn, you might have forgot. Nobody's body needs proteins. If you eat a chicken, if you eat a vegan Beyond Burger, if you have a protein smoothie, a hemp smoothie, a whey protein, any sort of protein you consume, your body has to break down into individual amino acids before your body can reuse it, right? Because your body synthesizes its own enzymes, peptides, proteins, hormones, pigments, etc. So your body doesn't absorb protein from an animal and then use those proteins the way the animal constructed them, because proteins, all forms of them, are unique to the animal system that uses them. So my body is going to construct the hormones, enzymes, etc., that it needs for me to function as needed. So your body has no way of even storing protein except for as developed muscle. Whereas your body stores sugar as fat, there's no storage. There's no glycogen of protein. The only place your body stores protein is as muscle. And this is why when you start to starve yourself, your body can break down muscle, turn muscle into fat, turn that fat into sugar, and power your mitochondria so that your ass don't die, right? Fine. All right. We got some A1C, blah, blah, blah. I'm skipping through to try to get to, it's bad enough. We're going to be trying to get it. I'm going to try to stay awake as long as I can. I'm going to try to stay awake as long as I can and go through as much as information as I can. Right? Because I actually supposed to be going through this book anyway for the Patreon folks. So I'm supposed to be doing this anyway. But because Sebi is the man of the hour, as usual, right? I just say man of the moment, right? A moment can be a second, a minute, a decade. Sebi's the man of the moment, right? We cannot object in part or parcel those concepts, blah, blah, blah. Primates and humans have entirely different placed mitochondria. Three. All right, so gorillas get plenty of protein from the green leaves they eat all day and from the unique microbiome they have put together over the centuries. Their microbiome builds protein from fiber and sugar. Daily, they consume 15 to 30% of their calories from protein. Hopefully, that solves this puzzle, right? Now, if you're not part of the holistic universe, this is probably extra information for you. You may not even understand why or what I'm talking about exactly right now. But if you were part of the holistic universe and you've been listening to Sebi or you've been listening to people that claim to be students of Sebi, then you've heard about the gorilla versus the polar bear, right? The gorilla versus the polar bear. Because right now, even today, in 2024, it's taboo, like scary, like people, they don't want to say white folks and black folks, right? Or Europeans versus Africans, But in the 70s, it was way crazier. The 80s, it was way crazier. So it was much easier to say gorillas versus polar bears, right? Gorillas are black, tropical climate, polar bears are white, cold climate, perfect analogy, right? You can talk about white folks and black folks without getting folks so offended, right? Okay. So that's kind of, this is a cornerstone, that analogy of polar bears and gorillas and the gorilla diet and blah blah blah. So we had to break all that down, right? We had to break all that down. All right. And so in the book, let me remind you, I'm skipping stuff. We kind of go into the out of Africa theory and a lot more of the science, but I'm trying to stick to the basics for the conversation. Right? If you got the book, you Gucci. Right? If you don't have the book, you need to go get it. All these books on Amazon. Right? All right. Dr. Sebi's melanin quote is also famous or infamous for the erroneous stance on protein. Pigments are not just standalone things on their own. Right? Now, some people don't understand the connection between Dr. Sebi saying protein is fake and him also saying melanin is fake. Right? Because melanin is also composed out of amino acids. So he was smart enough to know that he could not condemn one without condemning the other. Right? He understood that. Right? So you got to condemn them all. Only problem is he didn't condemn enzymes. And he would say, enzymes, you need enzymes for the minerals. And he would sell his products based on minerals. So he could not tell you that enzymes were fake because largely minerals function through enzymes. The problem is John Q. Public doesn't know that enzymes are built out of amino acids, just like protein is, just like pigments are. Right? So this is why, again, when you learn the science, right? When you learn the science, right? Okay. So now, if we unpack Dr. Sebi's statements a little further, if you want to know, I'm on page 17. If we unpack Dr. Sebi's statements a little further, we run into other issues like the words alkaline, pH, neuron, chemistry, and biochemistry. Sebi claimed that a major problem was that melanin is a European word or term. Alkaline is a European term. Neuron is a European term. Chemistry is a European term. The word mineral is a European term. I think you see where we're going, right? Okay. The human body doesn't even use minerals exactly. So now, to be more specific, I say the term mineral elements, right? Because your body only uses mineral elements in atomic form. Minerals are toxic to your body, right? Anyway, but that might be too much. That might be too much, right? That might be too much. So anyway, back to carbon. Carbon is almost always acidic or toxic when inside the human body. So for you carbon crazy people, I want you to understand. Oh, we carbon people, so we need a carbon diet. You gotta relax. Your body doesn't even remember. Carbon is the one thing out of all the food that your body gets rid of. So that's not even based in science or reality. We eat the food, we get rid of the carbon. Plants use carbon because plants do photosynthesis. We don't do photosynthesis. That's why I have to get on all of the goofballs running around. You know, I heard KT out there teaching this goofballery too. Oh yeah, melanin is human photosynthesis. No, it don't. No, it don't. Humans don't do photosynthesis. Plants do photosynthesis, right? The world has to recognize my genius. Dr. Inky, the first man to say that humans do photovoltaism. Humans are photovoltaic. We don't do photosynthesis. Plants synthesize out of light. They turn light into sugar, right? Or hydrated carbon crystals, to be specific, right? Humans don't do that. We turn light into electricity. We turn light into a voltage. That's photovoltaism. You turn light into electricity, light into charge. That's what we do. Yeah. Even if you say to yourself, but wait, don't we turn light into vitamin D? No, we don't. No, we don't. Sunlight turns cholesterol into vitamin D because light interacts with electrons, and there's a particularly weak bond in cholesterol. So when cholesterol absorbs UVB light, that bonds, those weak bonds break when the electrons speed up from absorbing the light. And when those bonds break, well, you have a rearranged molecule there. And that rearranged molecule of cholesterol is now pre-vitamin D. And when it gets into the liver and the kidneys, the liver and the kidneys will change it into, that's a much abbreviated chemical reaction, you know. Go to Amazon and get the book. Yeah, can you see that? Photochemistry. Yeah, Photochemistry Squared. Inky's Law of Metabolism. Yeah, go get that book. That's a whole nother book, right? But anyway, so our bodies, we don't carbon, we get rid of carbon. When we eat food, we break the food down. That's the reason why metabolism has to be coupled to respiration, right? And respiration is your breathing rate, to be simplified, right? The rate that you breathe. Metabolism is the rate that you break down proteins, fats, and primarily fats and sugars and convert that to energy. The nexus is when you break down fats and sugars, right? You have to get rid of the carbon residues that's left over. Your body has to combine 2 oxygen atoms to every 1 atom of carbon to form CO2 so that your body can get rid of the CO2, right? Or the CO2 will build up and then you know, that's disease. Slow disease, fast disease, it's disease, right? So if you slowly have an uncoupling of your metabolism and your respiration, you're going to start to get fat, high blood pressure and, cardiovascular disease, and, slowly go, right? Or, you could get, hypercapnia, where you're not getting rid of CO2 fast enough and, a bunch of different stuff, right? But either way, we have to get rid of the carbon. So I need you to also get rid of those ideas that because carbon is the determining factor, or used to be the determining factor for food being organic or not, that it means that somehow the carbon is the nutritious thing. No, carbon is just what holds stuff together. But you goofy niggas running around talking crazy where you don't understand what you're saying. You're like, yeah, we need the minerals because, we got to have that organic carbon-based diet. Like, minerals don't have carbon in there. Yo, hold on. Minerals don't have carbon in there, right? Calcium doesn't have carbon in it. Magnesium doesn't have carbon in it. Iron doesn't have carbon in it. Okay? These are elemental minerals that are the reason they're mineral elements is because they are the monomers of matter, of, there's nothing, these are the building blocks. So they're alone, right? When you get selenium, you need selenium by itself, copper itself, right? That's it. Now you get into the vitamin space and you get the stuff like B12, where you have a complex mineral, right? You have cobalt, which is attached to amines, right? But it's not like mixed with other minerals. It's just, so there's no organic minerals. Like there's no organic water or carbon-based, like the carbon-based water. Like, yeah, we got to get the carbon-based water for carbon-based beings on the carbon-based diet. My nigga, there's no carbon in water. It's H2O. It's oxygen and hydrogen. It's no carbon. Minerals don't have carbon. So you guys got to relax. And the fruits and the vegetables that you eat that are highly nutritious, yeah, when we break those down, we use up almost everything in them except for the carbon. Okay? So I need y'all to be clear on that, right? And the carbon we don't get rid of, you might farted it out, but you're going to get. All right. What we have? Melanin, every pigment, animal skin, carbon, substance. Okay. All right. So I think we got a lot of that, right? Now, carbon is magical. Wasn't you just attacking carbon? How you turn around and say carbon is magical? Because carbon is magical, right? Carbon is magical. Carbon is the magical thing that is able to take things that you cannot see and make them into things that you can see. Things that you cannot see, feel, or touch. Carbon can turn that into something you can see, feel, and touch. If you take an apple, if you take a slice of turkey, if you take a steak, zip, you take a steak, right? When Zip gets into his tough guy routine on his channel, he pretends that he doesn't watch the videos. Like I did a response video to Zip yesterday, 3 hours long. Yeah, no, that's short for me. Zip go on his page like, yo, Inky, yo, this doctor nigga Inky, you know, Inky gonna do a 3-hour video, like the nigga long-winded and all that, you know. Wait, he proceeds to responding right now. His audience kind of, they kind of slow. They don't know, and they didn't watch the video either, so they don't really know no better. But we know the people that watched the video and heard his response, right? Because he responded to things that I said in the beginning of the video and things I said in the end of the video. So I know he watched the whole video, right? So he'll watch because, content. Listen, a good business person has to be abreast of the competition. That's the people that are in the same line of business as you, that's doing better than you doing. The same people that's at your same level, and the same people who you killing, that you're doing way better than them. In the YouTube land, that translates that if I'm a YouTuber and I got, 50,000 subs, I still got to watch the guys with 10 and 20,000 subs, because I was a guy with 10,000 at one point, 20,000 before I got to the 50. But also, I got to look at the guys with 100,000 and 1 million subs to see what I have to change to get where I'm going. And, so you got to keep your ear to the street, and you also got to keep your head to the sky at the same time, right? All right. But carbon is magical because carbon is the thing. Like if you think about a carbohydrate, right? You think about food, carbohydrates. That's all your plants and, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. That's it. If you remove the carbon, you just have hydrogen and oxygen. And if they don't combine into water or peroxide, then you just got gas, right? H2O is water. H2O2 is peroxide, right? H2O is water. H2O2 is peroxide. And you don't have water becoming H3O2 or structured into a gel. And, we get into the more, you don't have that happening without other surfaces around or something to create some movement, vibration, etc., etc. So in theory, you don't even really get into the H3O2 unless you're talking about something else being a part of it. So anyway, if you remove the carbon from a carbohydrate, you just have two gases, hydrogen and oxygen. Right, so carbon is the magical ingredient that makes those two gases that you can't see, feel, or touch. Whoop. Now you got something solid, or at least you have the illusion of something solid, right? Now, carbon versus melanin, right? Carbon versus melanin, right? So carbon is a part of melanin, right? Because you don't have amino acids without carboxylic acid. So amino acids, right? So proteins are made out of amino acids. Amino acids are made out of like ammonia, kind of, and carboxylic acid put together, right? So carboxylic acid is COOH, right? Carbon, oxygen, oxygen, hydrogen. And then you have your almost ammonia, which is NH2, right? NH3 is actually ammonia, but NH2 is pre-ammonia, right? And those come together to make your amino acids, basically, pun intended, right? All right, so hopefully we got that. And then melanin is primarily tyrosine or tryptophan based, eumelanin anyway, right? All right. So hopefully we're getting somewhere. Hopefully we're covering, hopefully we're moving with a lot of Sebiology. Hopefully we're moving with a lot of Sebiology. Right? All right. COOH is the basic formula for carboxylic acids. You know a bunch of carboxylic acids already, like acetic acid, right? Now, some of y'all like, no, I don't know about acetic acid. I never heard of acetic acid. Yes, you have heard of acetic acid because a lot of you goofy niggas then ask me, Dr. Inky, what do you think about the acetic acid fast? I heard that acetic acid is good for your stomach. What? Acetic acid fast? Now, Inky, I never heard no damn acetic acid fast.
My name is Minister Inky. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin Verse Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own.
Go to Amazon now. Right? So, okay, stop playing with us like that. Inky, stop. Just what is the acetic acid? Acetic acid is what bacteria and yeast make, right? When they eating and sweating and farting and peeing and doodling and all that, that they make acetic acid like that. And then somebody comes along and adds water to that acetic acid, to that waste from the yeast and the bacteria and all that. They add water to it and they put it in a bottle and they sell it to you and say, look, this is good for your abs and your digestion. This is called vinegar. Okay? So now you know what acetic acid is. Acetic acid is usually 9 parts water, 1 part acetic acid, because acetic acid is such a strong acid that it'll burn through your flesh. So they water it down and then give it to you. And you believe that drinking vinegar will somehow give you some health benefits. No. You're getting a hormetic response from vinegar that's not a healthy one. Right? Because you're drinking a toxin, your body will have a reaction to it. But just because your body reacts to it doesn't mean it's a healthy reaction. Right? It's acetic acid. You don't need acetic acid. That's not. No. The fact that you have a microbiome, your body makes, your bacteria that you have inside your body makes the right amount of vinegar for you already. Every human's body, if you eat fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, seeds, like if you eat any amount of natural food, your microbiome is going to produce a certain amount of acetic acid, and your body's going to mix that with water. And yeah, your body produces vinegar all by itself. You don't need to go buy a bottle. And yeah, you don't need none of that. Apple cider vinegar or regular clear vinegar. You don't need none of that. Right? But anyway, that's a carboxylic acid, just in case you, right? Lauric acid, capric acid, right? You know what those are. No, we don't, Dr. Inky. We never heard of lauric acid and capric acid. Yes, you have, right? Coconut oil. Yeah, see? Coconut oil. It's the same thing. You have the scientific name, then you have the nickname. You have the name algae, then you got the nickname sea moss, right? If it comes from the Caribbean, it's sea moss. If it comes from Canada, Ireland, Russia, Greenland, it's Irish moss, right? Those are the nicknames. The actual names are going to be kelp, Chondrus crispus, bladderax, right? Those are Irish mosses. Those are considered Irish mosses. Then you have the guso and gracilaria and Eucoma cottoni. Those are algae that grow around the Caribbean, St. Lucia, Jamaica, shit like that. But people that don't know any better just call all of them sea moss. Right? Palmitic acid, aka botana oil, right? AKA botana oil. Wait, palmitic acid, ain't that from palm trees? Yes, because that's what botana oil comes from. Palm trees. You niggas confused out there. Y'all watching the I'm gonna leave y'all botana oil alone. If y'all buying that botana oil that's burnt and smell like burnt coffee, just know the reason it smell like burnt coffee is because it is loaded with if you don't have anything good to say, you don't say anything at all, right? The carbon conversation is long overdue. According to our research, humans are a big part of the carbon emission problem. We're going to fast forward past that. Yeah, we're going to fast forward past that. All right, the breath is the oldest riddle for the modern man. All right, we get into nitrogen. And we talk about nasal breathing, how breathing through your nose burns fat, builds your abs. Maybe we shouldn't skip that. I think we need to skip that because, yeah, that might confuse folks. If we go into nitrogen in the middle of going into carbon, we still got a little bit more carbon. We still got some more carbonology left. In fact, if we just make it through the carbon, that might be good for the night because we might not make it through the carbon. Where we at? 3 hours about? Yeah, we might not make it through the carbon. But I feel like, this has been a good 3 hours for people who may have only heard the name Dr. Sebi and some of the legendary, exaggerated stories. You know what I'm saying? Like, think of the Michael Jordan commercial. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I led you niggas to believe that you could eat anything you want, smoke anything you want, drink anything you want, have sex with no condom on with whoever you want, and then just take a herb and then bam, it's just like that. You good as new. You know what I'm saying? Like the Michael Jordan. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I led you niggas to believe that you could just raw dog it with whoever. Yeah, you could just raw dog it with whoever. Eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want, smoke, snort, pop pill, and then there's some sort of magical herb, alkaline, acid, or otherwise, or magical mushroom, or there's a magical catch-all, cure-all detox or something that you just gonna flush all those years of pure fuckery out of your system. Right? That is not a real thing. That's not a real thing. Okay. So, but hopefully we get into that. Right? Hopefully we get into that. Right? Carbon isn't seen by your body as the all-around super nutrient that you would think. Even activated charcoal, right? So activated charcoal In these conversations about carbon, activated charcoal comes up. Like, oh yeah, so if our body gets rid of the carbon, then what about activated charcoal, right? Because you do use activated charcoal, right, Inky? Yeah, I do, but I understand activated charcoal. Activated charcoal literally works on the principle that I'm explaining to you. Activated charcoal, first of all, because it's carbon, our body's going to get rid of it. Also, because it's carbon, it's going to do what? Bond to all the other chemicals. That's literally the magic of carbon. It bonds to all the other elements and makes them into stuff. Right? So with activated charcoal, you're consuming the carbon. The carbon is going to start to grab onto stuff and pull it out of your body, because your body is going to get rid of that carbon, and it's going to get rid of anything the carbon is attached to. So if you have chemical poisoning, activated charcoal to the rescue. Right? In some instances, check with your doctor, blah, blah, blah. Right? But that's what that's for. Or in a holistic space, activated charcoal is something you want to use every so often, right? You want to do distilled water, activated charcoal, and that'll help pull out like old spent minerals and elements and things like that. But that's not something you want to do all the time. Right? Some people are video crazy. They're not really studying the science. So what they're doing is channel hopping, right? They're going to every channel where somebody's talking about some health shit, and they're just buying whatever the people say, because they think the way our society is run, we've groomed ourselves to think that we just throw money at issues. And because we got money, we could just throw money at an issue and that problem will disappear. In many cases, that works inside your body. Hell no. A lot of times, more money increases the problem. The less money you have, the more you're forced to use your intelligence and ingenuity. Money makes you lazy. My name is Minister Inky. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin Verse Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own. All right. So that's how the activated charcoal does its thing. Right? But yeah, distilled water grabs on the minerals, pulls them out. Activated charcoal grabs on the stuff, pulls it out. Don't be one of those people buying up a whole bunch of stuff, taking it all at the same time. Because it's a fact that if you're taking activated charcoal at the same time as you're taking other stuff, if those other things were not formulated to be taken with the activated charcoal, then that activated charcoal is probably neutralizing the effects of some of those other things. Translation: if your ass is taking $10 or $20 worth of vitamins with your activated charcoal, or you getting you a nice expensive smoothie and drinking it down with your activated charcoal, chances are the activated charcoal is neutralizing some of the nutrients in your other vitamins or in your smoothie. You need another translate. It means your ass is wasting money out of ignorance. There we go. Final translation, right? So We need to understand these things so we know what we're doing. Right? You buying green juices or blending up green juices or whatever, that you taking activated chocolate, you're going in two different directions. You're taking a thing that pulls minerals out of your body while drinking a thing that puts minerals into your body. And you at zero. You added a plus and then added a minus at the same time. You at a zero, right? You just wasted your time and money. Right? Okay. Nitrogen, ammonia, blah, blah, blah. The pH scale. Do I want to get into this right now? And the Euban carbon cycle. Okay. Yeah, we can. All right. These relationships may be more nuanced than you'd expect. Nitrogen is critical for protein synthesis. A baby can't grow without nitrogen. Enzymes, hormones, peptides, and DNA all require nitrogen. This hopefully should make plain the idea that only carbohydrates are good and that adding nitrogen somehow makes the carbohydrate bad or acidic, right? And if you don't know what that means, a carbohydrate, again, is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, right? Think about a water molecule. A water molecule is H2O. Well, if you add H2O to a carbon, then you have a carbohydrate or a hydrated carbon, right? That's the basic molecular structure of all your fruits and vegetables. Now, if you add nitrogen to your carbon, your hydrogen, and your oxygen, you have amino acids and then proteins, right? And so thinking that somehow the very same elements that were nutritious, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, became a toxin because you added nitrogen, you are confused. Nitrogen is what builds the muscles. Nitrogen is what makes you grow. Nitrogen is what allows you to regenerate. Nitrogen is what allows you to heal. Nitric oxide is what helps circulate the blood. Like, I could go on and on and on. There's no nitrogen, there's no life. No nitrogen, no life. But like everything else, you have to have balance. Ma'at, right? Ma'at. So most of the people in America are not in trouble because they're not getting enough protein. They're getting too much protein, right? And when you have too much protein, your body turns it into sugar. So what you don't understand is that steak and tap water, for somebody that's not doing nothing but sitting down on the couch all day, that steak is turning into cotton candy. That steak is going to hit your body like a cotton candy. Yeah, like a box of donuts. You don't have a high protein requirement. So you don't need that much protein because you're not breaking down and turning over a lot of muscle tissue. You don't have a lot of muscle to maintain, right? Because you're not active, you don't need that much protein. You need a little tiny bit, right? We worry more about our carbs and fat. Like, that's how we think. We think backwards because, again, we don't have the science, right? So in our minds, we think, okay, well, I got to measure up the right amount of carbs to how much I exercise because, you know, carbs going to make me fat. And, you know, no. You need to worry about the protein to the amount you exercise because protein is going to make you fatter than fat and sugar. Carbs and fats is not going to make you as fat as protein and faster. All right. Why do you think bodybuilders, if you watch bodybuilders, it's a 1,000 million bodybuilder videos about a day in the life of Simeon Panda, a day in the life eating with Chris Bumstead, a day in the life eating with, you know, whoever you've been watching. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're all eating the same damn thing. They're having what? Oatmeal for breakfast. Then they having eggs. They're having white rice. They're having chicken breasts. They're having ground meat. Like, how many times can you watch niggas eat chicken breasts and like it's the same meal? Why? They're using the white rice because it's as simple as you can get to simple carbs. So they can just focus on the carb number without getting any other complex things to add to their math. Right? They're doing the meats prepared very simply, basic, straightforward, so it doesn't mess with their math. They can count their grams of protein and base that off of their activity, how much muscle they're carrying and how much work they're going to put that muscle through. What's the turnover going to be like? Then they got to make sure they get enough sleep so they sleep long enough so that what they're eating turns into, you know, is able to repair the body, build new tissues, et cetera, and then get rid of, and, you know, all of those things. Maximum efficiency, right? At building muscle, not at being healthy, but at being fit. Fit and healthy, not the same thing. Fitness and health, two separate things. They are not the same thing. Remember, we did a whole series on this. Health, when we take this country back, right, and we go back to the time of slaves and masters. Now, I'm not getting into debate with y'all about did black folks own slaves and all kinds of other goofball shit right now. Just taking this back to where there was clear slaves and clear people who owned property, right? So you had the wealthy and you had the poor. There was no middle class, right? There was no middle class. That's the purpose of me reducing us back to that time period. There was no middle class. You owned property, you was wealthy. Property included other niggas, other people, right? If you didn't own property, then you could not become wealthy, period. Doesn't matter what you was doing. You had a job, good job, bad job, you was still check to check, hand to mouth. Now, wealthy people wanted to get healthy and stay healthy and have health practices because they wanted to live a long time. The slaves and the employees, the wealthy people who owned the slaves, who owned employees, right, or rented them, which is temporary ownership. Just in case you don't understand that your employee, your employer owns you for X amount of time per day, which is why they can govern your time. They can allow you to have time off or tell you, no, you can't have time off. They can tell you what to do, how to dress. They're renting your time. Anyway, another conversation. But so the employers / masters, right? Health was something they wanted for themselves. Health was something they wanted for themselves. Fitness is something they wanted for their slaves / employees. Right? I want my slaves / employees to be fit. I want them to be able to do a lot of work. I don't want them to take off a lot of days, right? Fitness is the difference between being able to carry 20 boxes from over here to over there versus being able to carry 40 boxes from over here to over there, right? But fitness does not translate into longevity. Being physically fit does not mean you will live a long time. NFL players, bodybuilders, tons of muscle, very fit, do not live a long time. If you notice, the people that live a long time are usually, not going to say skinny, but they're slender. They're slender. Because we haven't really found the trick, and I'm working on it, but we haven't really found the trick as a whole, as a species, to live a long time and eat a lot of branch chain amino acids. So we haven't really found a way to do that. That doesn't exist. So typically, the staple foods of people that live a really long time are like algae, beans, greens. Like that's algae, beans, greens. Right. All right. All right. The pH scale is largely discussed in terms of food, but gas has a larger impact on your pH than food does. Gas has a larger impact on your pH, meaning how much oxygen is in your blood is going to determine the pH of your blood much more than whether you had kale or oxtail. These are just facts. If you have a bunch of oxygen in your blood is going to be good. Blood's going to be good. If you do not, and you have a bunch of carbon dioxides and nitrogens and other things in there, the pH is going to struggle. And when that pH is struggling, other systems are going to struggle, right? Because in order to keep your pH above 7.365, right? 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 7.365. In order to keep your pH up, your body's going to be trying to produce a bunch of bicarbonate from the mucous membrane. It's going to be pulling minerals from the bones. It's a lot of things going to be happening. A lot of things going to be going on, right? So a lot of things are going to be taxing the body, right? Taxing the body. So we want to eliminate those things anyway. But that, we need to spend more time worried about VO2 max. VO2 max, oxygen efficiency, respiration efficiency. All of those things is determined by respiration, right? When you're having sex, right? How fast you get, respiration, your breathing pattern, right? If you could control your breathing, you could control your ejaculation. Onlyfacts.com. When you're exercising, if you can control your breathing, you can push yourself to, PBs, personal best, your endurance level is longer because that's basically what's fighting lactic acid. What is that thing? My green screen got a little buckle that keep You know, when you could tell when you've been awake too long because you start getting annoyed by things that you shouldn't be annoyed. There's a little buckle from this green screen. There's a green screen. It's hitting the back of my chair, and now it's annoying me because it's what time is it? It's 2:30 in the morning, and yeah, I should be in bed already. Matter of fact, I might be shutting this damn video down. Yeah, we might pick this video up. Yeah, we're gonna continue this damn video. Look, go buy some books. Yeah, got some good info for the night. We got some basics. To use sinner, what is this person talking about? Who trolling? Somebody trolling. What? Yeah, somebody trolling. Somebody trolling. You too late to troll though. But I'll give you a shout out though. I'll give you a shout out. But you came in too late to troll. You gotta catch the live earlier to troll. Like you can't come in the last. You gotta come in earlier. But we're gonna keep this school open for Zip and all of the follow, everybody that's, like, no, to hell with Zip. We need this information anyway. I got you. We on it. My name is Minister Inky. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin vs. Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own. Peace and blessings out there to everybody. My name is Dr. Inky, the founder of the Melanin vs. Diabetes movement and ministry. Our goal is to fight diabetes by creating a biochemically literate society, one book at a time, one person at a time, one household at a time. Join us now by going to Amazon.com and